Hey there. So I'm just going to do a quick little off-the-cuff, rambling, informal review of my piano that I've had for my keyboard that I've had for probably 3 or 4 years. This is the Roland FP-30. Let's see if I can get it to. There we go. And here's the. Yeah, so this is the FP-30. It's the same, more or less the same, almost exactly the same as the FP-30X, which is the one that you'll see if you go into a Guitar Center or if you look around online. There are some slight differences, but from what I was reading, I'm like, I don't think this makes any difference at all, and it's like a little bit heavier, so I don't even know what the point of that is. But yeah, so I've had it for, I've had this for about probably 3 or 4 years, and the main thing I was looking for when I got it was the key action. So here's the kind of thing we're talking about. So very piano-like, which is the number one thing I was looking for. Basically, when I was shopping for this, my MO was I go to Guitar Center and different stores, different Guitar Centers and different other music stores, and just play all the pianos. And what I was looking for was something that feels like an acoustic piano, because at the time I was kind of in a transitional period where I used to have access to a lot of physical acoustic pianos, uprights, baby grands, stuff like that, at school and places like that. And so I was coming to where, okay, I've got a little more money and I can afford to buy myself a proper keyboard, but I want it to feel like a piano. So I didn't want any of the diving board, the kind where, you get the top of the key and then it's like there's nothing underneath because there's no weight. So these keys, they feel very much like a real, they feel like a real piano key, and you can hear them. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it on my iPad, which I'm recording with, but you can actually hear the sound of it if you turn the volume off. Now, one of the things that I would do when I was comparing the different keyboards was, and this is still one of the first things that I'll do if I sit down at a keyboard and think, I wonder if this is any good. Because this is something that produces a unique sound, and something that I found myself doing as I was improvising on real pianos, uprights, and I thought, this is probably the kind of thing that a typical fake piano, a typical keyboard is not going to be able to do well, and I still, let me get this lined up right, there we go. So play some, and for this to sound like music, it's got to be in a context, but to use it as a test, it doesn't necessarily need the context so much. But if you've got some experience with real pianos, and then you do something like octaves in the left hand, and then something interesting in the right hand like that, really gentle, then it produces this unique sound where the right hand music just kind of moves in and out over top of the bass notes. That kind of thing. And so I would go and I would try that on the various keyboards, and usually it sounds kind of, like it clearly is not an acoustic piano. This one, it sounds pretty good, like what I did just a minute ago. I think that sounds, and I don't know how it's coming through on the iPad, but it sounds kind of like, a real instrument. And then the other thing that I'll do is just play some basic notes in the middle here. See how real that feels. See if you're comfortable with it. See if I'm comfortable with it. And then I'll just do some like arpeggio-based stuff. Make sure you play, in the various ranges. so that's kind of the criteria when I was evaluating, and I picked this one because it was, I mean, partly because it passed those tests, but then particularly when I was just playing, you know, particularly just some basic octaves here. And I was just really impressed with the speaker, you know. Like, I remember I went up and grabbed one, like I looked around and I'm like, I can't see any amp behind it, you know, over at the Guitar Center. And I actually went and found one of the workers, and I'm like, hey, I'm looking at this keyboard, and I was just wondering, is there like an amp hidden somewhere? You know, because there's got to be this hidden amp, because a lot of the time you'd see these, you know, keyboards in various price ranges, and there's this big giant amp, and that's where the sound's coming from, and that's why it sounds big. You know, of course, it's never going to sound like an actual piano, because, you know, that's impossible. But you know, this thing, it's, you know, it's fairly heavy. Yeah, so fairly heavy, but it's just, that's all it is, and that's where the sound's coming from. So that was the number one thing, was the heaviness and the realness of the bass, and then the keys feel real. That's very important. There's none of this diving board stuff, none of this like the first keyboard I bought, which I was literally just trying to see what I could get for the least amount of money, and I got this, you know, I think I paid like $70-80 for this little semi-weighted MIDI how do you call it, MIDI controller. It was this, and it was like 61 key. It was a 61 key semi-weighted MIDI controller. And let's just say, I could practice some things on it, but it wasn't a lot of fun for long to actually just try to play on. But I was impressed with these keys. I was impressed with how it handles the lower register, the higher register. To me, basically, and then by comparison, so the ones that I played, this would have been back in, you know, whatever, about probably 2021-ish, 2020, possibly 2019. But the other ones that I played in the price range, so I think I paid 700-ish for this at the time. And I was looking at ones in the price range from 600 up to, you know, like 1200, and some even a little more than that. And the thing is, this one, as far as the quality of that speaker for the bass range and the way it responds to the upper notes and the lower notes and stuff like that, it was better than a lot of those higher end ones. The ones I found myself really disgusted with was a lot of these ones that came with the whole like, you know, it was all one big piece. It was like an actual, they called itself a digital piano. And I know there's a lot of reasons to get one of those, but if you're looking for quality per the price, I played some of those that were, you know, $400 or $500 more expensive than this, and I'm like, this is a plastic piece of crap, you know, because you're paying for the piece of furniture, you're paying for all the stuff that's coming with it. But so this one, for the budget aspect, which is what I was looking for at the time, it doesn't have that. You're not paying for the furniture aspect. It doesn't have a back plate and all this stuff. I got a pedal to go with it, and, you know, a bench and all that separately. But it responds well, and it feels like what I was looking for was something that would feel like an acoustic. And really, I think until you get up to, like, if you're willing to pay like $1,400-1,500, at least at the time, this is kind of it. Now I don't know what's going on now, but I think my next purchase for myself, I'm gonna keep this until I, you know, at some point, like last time I went to Guitar Center and I played all the keyboards, and there's this one that was like 3,000. But I sit down and play, and my jaw was dropping open, and I was in awe, and I was, you know, having a blast playing. The piano sound, which just sounded really big and full and awesome, and then I, you know, played around with the different special sounds that they had. So, you know, at some point I'm probably gonna upgrade to something like that, but there's no way in heck that I'm gonna, you know, at any point go, you know, find something in the $1,800, $2,000 range, you know, and be like, oh, it's got all these features, you know, because this does it. It creates my piano sounds, and it feels like a piano, you know, and you can use headphones, but I don't need headphones because it feels so real by itself anyway. And what was I gonna say? I mean, it doesn't have features. That's the one downside. Oh, what I was going to say was, you know, if I do want to play with some other voices that it doesn't have, because it barely has any voices for it, but you can hook it up to GarageBand, or if I end up buying, you know, a proper audio workstation, hook it up to that, and you can get different sounds that way. But so the downside definitely of this piano is, now obviously, if you're looking for the hardware aspect where it's got a back plate, and all that kind of stuff, the furniture aspect. I think there actually is a version of this that comes with that. Actually, there is, because I saw it last time I went to Guitar Center, which was a while back now. But so you could get that. But the real downsides of this model is that it was built for the keys. The keys feel real, they sound real, the speaker feels very real. That's what it's built for. And it does an amazing job for that. And I have been, first time I played it at the Guitar Center, I was blown away. And then to this day, like, I'm not tired of it. Like, this is what I want to play on. But the downside for it is the features. So basically what we've got here, pull this thing over here so you can get a look here. So we've got these buttons here, and there's not a lot of them. And then notice that they are, like, these are the volume buttons, and it's, they're buttons, and there's only, so many per thing. And it's just kind of annoying if you want to adjust the volume. And we got this Bluetooth button. There's not a lot you can do with the Bluetooth. You can use it as a page turner for certain apps, but like, what the heck you want to do that with? I think you can use it to transmit MIDI. I haven't done a lot with that. Actually, I think I forget. There was a while back I was trying to figure out if I could use it to transmit MIDI to my to MuseScore without having to use a USB. But I think it was working. I don't remember, but like, I don't need to do that. I can just use my USB. so why would I bother with MIDI? Or pardon me, with Bluetooth? But so that's one of the things. And also the other thing that I don't like about it is these lights. So it's all lit up. One of the things that I love doing with any instrument, but particularly piano, this is something that my piano teacher recommended way back, when I was taking lessons back in, what would have that been, like 2011 or 12 or something? Every once in a while, shut the lights out, play piano in the pitch dark, so that all of your senses are at zero, except for your piano senses. So on the one hand, it's going to motivate you a little bit to learn to play without looking. But on the other hand, you play these notes, whatever they are you're playing, and you're in the dark, and that's the entire universe, which is an amazing experience. Because it's kind of like, it's just you, and there's music. Nothing else exists. And it really gets you in tune with the instrument in a deeply emotional, deeply personal way that's just really special. So anyway, that's something that is a value for me. And these things ruin that. They really, really ruin that. And then not to mention, even that aside, if you're just at the end of a long day and you turn down the lights and you're just looking for a nice, quiet, but then you got these things glaring at you, in a nice dim lit room, and these things are just glaring at you, it's a bit of a pain. So usually I cover them up, and I think it's terrible. But so that's one of the downsides. The volume control, like I said, is kind of hokey and kind of annoying. It's got this repeat rate kind of thing where you press it, and then it takes a second for it to go into repeat mode, which, it would be worse if it didn't do that, and if you just tapped it and it instantly zoom, that would be even worse. But needless to say, dials are nicer. This is annoying. If you're looking for that kind of thing and you want a nice little dial, then this is not going to be your cup of tea. Then as far as features, basically what you got, here we go. We got the power button, we got the volume, we got this function button, which actually you can do a bunch with, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But then we got the three main categories of voices. We got the piano voices, there's like 5 of those. We got the electric piano voices, I think there's more of those, there's a bunch of those. We got the other voices, which is the largest, there's a ton of those, and some of them are pretty cool. Then we got the split feature, which I don't use much, but it kind of splits the keyboard. So, but I always have trouble figuring out what it's actually doing, because there's no, like, it's got this, right now it's got this drum sound on there, but there's no actual drum sound in any of these three categories, so I don't know what's going on. But needless to say, I just don't use that split feature. There's actually a twin piano feature you can get to with the function key, and there's also a proper splitting thing where you can pick one and pick the other and have it be a split keyboard. But I haven't been able to figure out how to do that with the split key. I think there might have been something where, anyway. Yeah, it's just this weird mode, and I don't know what, yeah, I can't make any sense of that. I'm sure if I read the manual I could figure it out, but that's not been a priority for me. So the other feature here, we got the metronome, which is nice, but I wouldn't take it too seriously in terms of accessibility. So that's nice if you want a metronome, but as far as the speed of it, you're really just going to have to wing it because, you know, okay, let's make it faster. Okay, I don't know what BPM that is, you know, it's just kind of like you're going for a ballpark because there's no screen to look at, there's no way to tell anything about it. So if you want a rhythm, if you want a metronome beat, you can get it, but you're not going to do anything serious with it. You're not going to set this to any particular number. You're going to be much more likely to, you know, pull out your iPad or pull out your phone and use that. Now what I do like is the record feature, which automatically turns on the metronome, and then you can, well, I mean, it turns on the metronome for the intro, and then you can pick if you want it to go after that. So this means it's ready to record. Whoops, this isn't really facing it. It's all right. And then once you hit play, then it counts off, and then you're actually... Then you hit stop, and it does that thing, which is kind of annoying. So once again, like the feature build is, you know, the number of features aren't so cool, but it takes that minute, and then you can finally push play. So that's nice. And then you can also play along with it with a different voice if you want, you know. So that's kind of cool. And you can also, if you start the metronome first, and then you come in here, then it'll keep playing the metronome while you do it. So that's a nice feature to have if you want to learn to play with yourself or you know, play with something or other. And then when you play back, it won't keep the metronome in there. So those are the main features, and there's not a lot there, as you can see. There's really not a lot of features there. And the number of instruments, there's a decent amount of voices you can pick from, instruments you can pick from, but it's limited. There's no screen, so you can't, you know, scroll through them easily. And what you got to do, so you can switch which bank you want to be in, just like that. That's easy. But to actually change the voice within that bank, you've got to use these keys. So you start with the lowest A, and then that's like number 1, and then it goes up, and then so let's say we want to pick electric piano voice number 3. And we're going to go to voice number 1. Voice number 5. I like that one. Interesting. So that must be some kind of bell. But anyway, so that's how that works. Oh, we got a... that's pretty much it. This thing can't do a whole lot beyond that. There is a bunch of stuff that you can get to. So if you look close, there's stuff written down here. So first off, you've got some numbers, I'm not sure what those are for, written down here. So those keys mean that for something, some use it has. And then if you want to transpose, they have transpose written here. So if you use the function key, you can do the transpose feature, which I've never used, because why on earth would I need to transpose since I've got 88 freaking keys right here? So back when I had a 61 key, I had to transpose all the time, or at least do an octave shift or something like that. Well, I suppose if you wanted to transpose, like if you wanted to play a song based on sheet music in a different key, you could certainly transpose, but better to just learn how to play it in the proper key. Give yourself some work. But if, let's say, you're playing with somebody and you need to be able to do it instantly right now for the band to be able to play, then yeah, certainly I can see some use for that. So I'm guessing what you do, and I'm not going to do it because I don't want to get myself confused, but probably you just hit the transpose button and then you probably like C is default, and then if you want to go higher, you pick anywhere in the range what's printed on the, you probably can't really see it through the camera, but it's printed on the front of it right here. Let's see if I can get the camera to actually see it. I mean, you can kind of see it, but yeah, there we go. So yeah. Anyway, it's not hard to see in person, but camera's funny because I've got it on the front facing thing and I can't flip it. At least I don't know how to flip it without shutting off the video and restarting, which I don't want to do. So you got that, and then we got the twin piano, which is either on or off. Let me just show you that. So it's off right now. Now it's on. Now I don't know if you can choose what the middle note is, but I mean, if you wanted two people to play at once, it's kind of, it could be kind of cool. One person's up here going, what we have. Something like that. Then you got ambience right there, brilliance. I don't play with those because to me it sounds like a real piano. Why would I play with stuff? Mess it up. So I don't play with those. Key touch, I guess that's sensitivity. You can play with that. Master tuning, once again, I have no interest in playing around with that. And then USB songs. So I guess you can put in a USB drive with songs on it. I don't know. I don't play with that either. If I want to do something like that, I'll hook it up to GarageBand. Around the back side, we've got, what do we got back here? USB, some other, oh, that's the USB memory stick one. And then we got the power and we got the pedal. So, pretty standard setup. So I'll just go through the various options for the piano. So for each of these, there's a number of instruments in the bank. There's not a lot of piano ones. I like the basic piano one. That's the default one, which must be this A note right here. That means, yep. And then the next one, and it's still a normal piano sound, but just a little bit different. It sounds a little more less dull and got a little more brightness to it. That's not what I wanted to do. So it's nice. I mean, it's kind of whatever you're going for. I almost always play with that first one just because it sounds good. I like it, and I don't play around with the other ones. But today, as I was about to start this, and I thought, why don't I try out these other ones just so I have something to say about them? And I realized I actually kind of like, they sound a little more. I mean, of course, when you say real, we're not talking about real versus not real. We're talking about different kinds of pianos, because every acoustic piano sounds just a little bit different, but a little more. I don't know. I guess a little more bright. I guess you'd say. And then the kind of the next, it's almost like it's a 1, 2, 3, because the third one they have here is the same but more so. Sounds even more bright. It kind of cuts through with a little more. I don't know. So that's nice. Next one. Wait, that's not right. Oh, that's the same one. Yeah, that's the thing that's annoying with using the way they have it, using the keys like that. Like, you can do it, and if you remember which one you like, you can get to it easily. But what I always find myself doing is what I did just now, which is I'm going through them one after the other, and I'm like, which one was I at? And I end up clicking on or selecting the one that either one that I already did or one that I'm still on, so it's an annoying, thing. If you're looking for something where you have a nice convenient menu, this is really not the piano for that, because it is a very annoying gimmicky feature set in terms of the stuff. The piano part is amazing, but the feature stuff is really not so great. It's not accessible. Yeah, so that's the same one. And this is the next one. So this is kind of cool, and I've seen, it used to surprise me, and now I'm used to it. A lot of keyboards have this feature, this kind of out of tune, whatever it is, old, out of tune, bad piano. And I've heard, I think maybe like somewhere on like some websites that Google brought up, or maybe I heard somebody say this, but like a lot of ragtime people intentionally want to play it on a kind of out of tune, funny piano like this, just because it kind of fits with the style or something. But that's not ragtime, but just a little bit of stride, because I can't play ragtime. If I want to sit down and play the Entertainer for somebody, or Maple Leaf Rag, I'm completely hopeless. That's the closest I can do. But yeah, so for me, hearing this sound just reminds me of certain pianos that I played on that were sounding like that. Which is kind of a nice, kind of nostalgic kind of thing. But yeah, I can't imagine people using it a whole lot, other than for that reason. Next one we got here. So we had the 3 normal piano sounds, and we had the 1 out of tune piano, and then I think it's 2 harpsichords, and I think that's it. Yep. So. There's the out of tune piano, there's the harpsichord, and there's like a multi-layered harpsichord, I guess. And then after that, anything else you play, it's just they keep on giving you the same last one again, no matter what key you push. So the harpsichord sound is pretty nice. Of course, it's not an authentic harpsichord sound because the key sensitivity. Now, you can turn down the key touch, so I guess, and I'm not going to fiddle with it because I don't want to mess it up, but you could probably turn down the key touch option until it's 0, and then you could get like an actual harpsichord where it doesn't matter how hard you push it, it's the same no matter how hard you push it. But the other one better, the more layered one. Oops. Well, that is the more layered one. There we go. Here's the first one. And since this is already a long video, I think I'll just stop it here. Whoops, stop it here, and I'll make another one where I go through the electric piano sounds, which there's a bunch of these, and well, actually, there's not that many. Yeah, so there's a handful of those, and then there's a whole lot of these other ones where you've got human voice synthesized. Got electric piano, which is kind of funny because there's an electric piano bank, but you got just various options. So that's the end of this one, and if you want to see the other voices, just go into the next video.